For number 8, we want to do points of inflection. Points of inflection are defined as where the concavity changes. So whether it goes from positive to minus or minus to positive isn't going to matter. If the second derivative changes, we'll have a point of inflection if there's a point. It's called a point of inflection because there's a point there. We have to have a point. So my first thing is I'm going to need the second derivative. So quotient rule twice. First derivative, derivative of the top times the bottom, minus the derivative of the bottom times the top over the bottom squared. You have to simplify these. If you don't, then you're not going to be able to get the second derivative correctly, which means you won't be able to do the sign chart right. So I've got plus x squared and minus 2, so that's a minus x squared on the top, plus 2, and then my bottom. Now, second derivative is quotient rule again. So the derivative of the top times the bottom, minus the derivative of the bottom, which is going to be a chain rule, times the top over the bottom squared. Now, the way the chain rule has created this in the quotient rule is I have this in every piece, so I can cancel one of them from each piece. Then I can simplify the top a lot easier. So I can distribute this. So I have minus 4x, then minus 2x times the x squared. Now over here, it's easier if I take this and go on and multiply it. So I have minus 4x. So I'll have plus 4x cubed and minus 8x. Minus 4x, minus 8x, minus 12x, plus 2x cubed. This is my second derivative. In order to make a sign chart, I set the top equal to 0. Let's first go on and cancel and factor out. So I have 2x equals 0, so x is 0, and x squared equals 6, so x equals plus or minus square root of 6. The bottom, I would also set equal to 0, but the bottom isn't going to give me anything because it'll be x squared equals minus 2, so that can't happen. Okay, so now I need to do my sign chart. So minus infinity to negative square root of 6, negative square root of 6 to 0, 0 to square root of 6, and square root of 6 to infinity. Now notice on the bottom here, x squared is always going to be positive, plus 2 is always positive. A positive number cubed is always positive. Square root of 6. If we pick something between minus infinity and minus square root of 6, say minus 100, and we plug it in, we're going to get a positive number there. If we pick minus 1 and plug it in, that would be negative. If we pick 1, that's going to be negative. And if I pick, again, 100, 1,000, that's going to be negative. Positive. So the resulting sign is going to be positive, negative, negative, positive. And points of inflection are defined as where the concavity changes. So the concavity changes at minus square root of 6 and square root of 6. We do need to be careful that there are actual points there. We don't have any vertical asymptotes, so we know everything else is points. So my point of inflection is going to be minus square root of 6 comma f of minus square root of 6. So plug negative square root of 6 back into the original, and then square root of 6 comma f of square root of 6. And those are my points of inflection.